I help people rediscover their play because I really believe like their inner child is where the answers actually lie.
Hello, this is Jeff Harry with Rediscover Your Play. I help people tap back into their inner child using play because that's where I believe all the answers lie. And we have today Dr. Marcie. Would you like to say more, Dr. Marcie, about who you are?
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. I am Dr. Marcie. I am founder of Behavior and Beyond, where I bring real ideas for real behavior. And I am so excited to be here with Jeff today because we are talking about how to play with your kids. It seems like we are in a moment when every parent is at home trying to work, trying to stay sane, trying to educate their children, and trying to parent. So we thought that one of the things that many adults have lost sight of is actually how to play. Mm-hmm. And we have both seen moments where parents have been with children and been like, all right, go play, or set them up with some stuff and then been like, all right, peace out, and end up on their phone or something else.
Or they have a schedule, or they have that schedule.
Yes. Yeah. Not because they didn't actually have the time, but they just didn't think to sit down on the floor and actually play with their kids. Mm-hmm. So Jeff, as a play expert, of course you have experience with exactly how to play. I would like to believe that my inner child is still pretty strong and well, and my play skills are in use widely and regularly. So Jeff, what is your favorite way to get down and play?
Well, my favorite way is to first try to remember why and what I loved to play as a kid, and then do that with kids. Because at this point, they're bored. You know, they are trying to get outside. They're trying to do whatever they can. You know,
their friends.
There's only so many video games. There's only so many, movies they can watch. And really what they're looking for, kids are looking for right now, is connection. So you might think, oh, well, my really boring board game that I used to do as a kid, or whatever it is that I used to do as a kid, my kid wouldn't enjoy that. And actually they would. So that would be probably one of the first places where I would actually explore and try doing that with my children.
And they might not even actually care about the board game. They might really enjoy the fact that you are sitting down at the table and playing with them, which makes them enjoy the board game, right? We sometimes get stuck in the fact that the thing we're doing has to be so amazing. And in the world where we've had access to so many things, that's been powerful. But I mean, I love that you just said it's connection, because that's what they need more than anything. So pick a way to play and dive in.
Yeah, because they can already feel the fear that is emanating off of you, off of the news if it's always on. By the way, you might want to consider,
turning it off.
Yeah, right. Especially when they're around. And then I think what would be really important is spending some time being like, is the work that I'm currently doing that important? I know that we still have to do work, and I recognize that we have to do work, and also a lot of things are shut down right now. So like, if you're like, all right, go play, and then I'm gonna get my work done, and then it's just gonna be this seamless transition, like that, obviously that's just not realistic, right? Yeah. So the more time you actually upfront, especially early in the day, that you spend connecting with them and doing some games and having really fun time, and then saying, okay, and letting them know, this is something I do a lot, is letting them know, okay, in about 30 minutes, I'm going to have to now go do work, and I'm going to have to go do work from this time to this time. They'll probably spend more time respecting you and respecting that time if you upfront play with them. But if you choose to wait and be like, I'll eventually get to you, they will be sticking their fingers under the doors to get to you.
Yes. And start with what your kids can do as far as a time frame right now, right? Because as you're setting up this capacity to play with your kids, if you're like, I need to go work from this time to this time, and you choose a 2-hour chunk, you're not going to stick to it, and neither are they.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, I'm going to go work for 10 minutes and I can't answer you in those 10 minutes, and you stick to it, you'll be able to increase that over time because they'll know.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a big fan of using timers that keep us honest, because
Yep.
sometimes we forget what 10 minutes is, just like our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you keep saying it's just 10 more minutes, they're not going to respect that either.
And that's when problem behavior comes. And so there are ways that you can avoid that by giving this attention up front, by playing with them up front, because there is going to be more problems the less connected they feel, the less engaged they feel.
And I think one other thing to keep in mind, you still can also play with your teenagers. You might have to find a different way to do it. That might be through video games. That might be through whatever, board games. That might be you just sitting down with them and like, let's just talk. But a lot of times I think we assume also with teenagers that they're good. Oh, they're good. They're just going to talk to their friends the whole time. But they still are looking for a certain level of connection. Even as they're pushing you away, they still want connection.
Yeah.
So don't misinterpret the fact that because they're like, oh, I'm good, that you shouldn't be really checking in on them and just spending quality time right next to them. If of any time and any meaning that's coming to you right now, it's to communicate, hey, maybe I should be spending more quality time with the people that I love.
Yes, for sure. So with your teens, remember that sometimes they isolate themselves because they feel isolated. So in this time when we're all social distancing, spending lots and lots of time at home, even if they don't necessarily want to hang out with you, it might be really important for you to be there. So showing up and playing cards with them, playing some of the more sophisticated card games, board games, Cards Against Humanity if you happen to have that, or I have no doubt, and I haven't actually done this because I don't have a teenager, that you can Google online, like, interesting games to play with teens, or questions to ask my teenager that might make them engage with me, and get a whole bunch of ideas there.
Or what I do with my teenager is we make videos. You can make like Instagram and TikTok videos and stuff like that, because again, they still want to connect. So it'd be also hilarious to get their parents on. So yes, as I have a nephew that I am watching. Yes. Okay. So anyway, just to clarify, Marcie, I have a question for you. What about schedules? How does what's your opinion about schedules?
I love a good schedule. I love it. I think right now schedules are more important than ever because we have, unlike a regular work day or a regular school day where there is a set schedule, we have wide open days where we're home the entire time and it can look all the same, which for our mental health, for our physical health, can all get very mushy. And it's very tempting to like wake up and stay in your pajamas and like whenever things happen. That leads to, as an individual adult human, that's not good for your mental state at all.
Right.
The structure is super important. In relation to your kids and being a dynamic as a family, the schedules are really important to have a joint understanding of what's happening, right? So that you can communicate about, this is when you're going to do schoolwork, this is when I'm going to do my office work, this is when we're going to play as a family, this is when we're having meals, this is when we're exercising. Otherwise, you're all going to have different ideas. So that communication is really important. But the final reason why schedules are so important right now is it gives us a sense of control. It gives us order. It gives us structure. And what is happening more than anything else right now is we all feel out of control. There is a ton of uncertainty about what's happening in the world. And so if in our small corner of the world, we can create some structure, some certainty, that is super powerful. And then no, you have to be flexible because it's going to get kerfuffled.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is there like leeway on the schedule as well? Can you also go to schedule?
Yes.
To scheduled.
So the reality is the schedule is going to get messed up. It's not like your office schedule where everything runs in 10-minute segments and you know, meetings never run over and no one's ever late, right? Your office runs like that. Your home is the same way. Even though no one's commuting, so they're not going to be late to a meeting. Someone's going to, if you have a 3-year-old that needs to go to the bathroom, that's going to take 10 minutes, and that's going to change things. So you want to put time frames in there so that you have some concept of what's happening, but you also want to remember that things are going to take longer or take shorter, right? You might plan to build a castle out of blankets in your living room and be like, that'll take us 45 minutes. And 10 minutes later, your kids are done and you're done with it.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen. So you move on to the next activity. There may be times where you reshuffle the organization of the schedule. There may be times where you just delete things. There may be times where it gets moved to a tomorrow page. So be willing to be flexible with it, but create the structure, create the roadmap so you have it, so that when it's 4 p.m. and everyone's going stir crazy, you don't have to come up on the fly with what to do. You're like, oh, this is when we play a family game of Go Fish. Great. This is when we play a family game of charades. Great. This is when I sit down and read a book for 30 minutes and my kids read for 30 minutes. Right? Like just having that idea. And if you had any structure and routine already, like a Friday night movie night is what a lot of families I know do.
Yeah.
Keep that Friday night movie night.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you won't add other ones, but that's going to be super helpful.
I think another thing that I heard that I thought was a great idea is some people are also showing their kids what they do. So my girlfriend, for example, does yoga. So that's her play. So she's going to be like, she's going to do yoga online at a certain time, and she's going to invite her kids to participate. And I think a lot of times when we think of play, we think of entertaining the kids, that it's all about entertaining and they have to stay excited the entire time. And they, a lot of times, are just curious, Yes.
Say that again.
They are just curious. They might get bored and wander off, but then they may wander back. And I think a lot of times we feel like we have to have a heightened level of entertainment. It's like, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? And it's not always, even though it's play, it's not always about them. It's simply being, when I define play as doing something joyful that brings you fully present where there is no outcome, where there is no result being pursued, right? So that's it. Whatever that is, that joy and being present is, they want to be part of that. So you might assume they want to play Fortnite for 8 hours, but not really, because that gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
So just if you are simply not judging yourself and being like, well, I don't think they're going to like what I want to do, then you gotta address that inner beast and just do things that you would find enjoyable.
Even if it's an outer beast.
Yeah. And just be there with them.
Yeah.
And slowly, organically, you will start to be like, oh yeah, I still know how to play. I didn't forget. It's always been within me the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my final thought on this topic, because I know, Jeff, you and I can talk about play forever, but that won't be productive for any of us. So my final thought on it is that, to follow up on what you were just saying, is that it's not all about them. Usually when parents are playing with their kids, it's, what do you want to play? And then you go do it. And what we see with their friends, and especially with their siblings, one kid is like, I want to play Lego. And the other is like, I want to play Barbie. And they fight about it. Right? And then eventually they, maybe with some adult support, but the conflict resolution skills are being learned, and they'll either go play separately or they'll come back and play together. While your kids are home, make sure that you have moments of those conflicts, of your kid saying, I want to play Go Fish, and you saying, well, I really want to play hearts, and teach your kid hearts, and work on turn-taking skills, work on doing what's going to make you happy as well, because you are also home for a very long time. So if every time your kid says, I want to listen to this song again, and I want to play this game, and I want to read this book for the 5,000th time, if you don't start saying, actually, it'd be really fun for me to read this other book. Yeah. Actually, it'd be really fun for me to play this other game. That's how you're going to be able to play, enjoy your kids, teach them the flexibility, the negotiation, the turn-taking that is super important, and come out the other side of this with a better relationship with your children. while having fun.
Yes. And I'll say this last thing, be compassionate towards yourself and your spouse, because you're all just making it up as you go along, right? And the more you're willing to embrace the curious exploration of this process, the more fun you're going to have and the more fun your kid will have.
I love that.
Oh,
Thank you, Jeff. If people want to find out more about you, about the work you do in the world,
yes, they can go to rediscoveryourplay.com. And for you, Marcie, where can they go?
they can go to drmarcie.com, drmarcie.com. And we will see you next time.
Yes, talk to you later. See ya.
Happy playing!